All right.
You want to do a countdown?
I'll count us in, yeah. I'll count us in.
Countdown. Oh, nice.
And in 3, 2, welcome into Sports with Balls. We are so happy to be here with you on iVox News. We are Jeff Michael, Grant Miles, Lauren Leal, myself. Like I said, bringing you the latest in sports news as always. And y'all ready to get into some sports talk, guys?
I've been ready.
Let's go.
You've been ready.
I've been ready.
We got some NFL, a little MLB, and NBA to get to. We're going to start it off with our 2-minute drills, starting it with Dak Prescott. So we saw that cringing compound fracture and just ankle dislocation on Sunday. He went into surgery Sunday evening, and he may not be returning this season, but he is looking good and fully recovered. Super happy about that.
Look, I'm not. You know, that injury was gruesome, and we're going to talk about this in a minute. But you know, the doctors said how they had to redo it, go in there and break like 1 or 2 more bones and redo it. It's a 4 to 5 month recovery, but we'll get into that, his future with the Cowboys here in a minute.
Right.
But just terrible to watch for Dak for sure.
Oh,
Absolutely.
most definitely. Absolutely.
Glad he is fully recovered. Now we move on to Joe Morgan. So the big red machine, he has passed away at the age of 77. Hall of Famer who played for on the 2-time Cincinnati Reds World Series championship team.
And the Astros.
And the Astros, of course. Who played with him on the championship team, though, really was cool, was Pete Rose.
Yeah.
And Tony Perez. And Rose told the Associated Press that Joe would always amaze him, that he was the most intelligent player on the team, and it kind of rubbed off on the entire team around him. So that was
one of the greatest announcers I've heard.
I was just about to say, I loved
one of the
watching,
greatest announcers ever.
I loved watching Sunday Night Baseball
Yep. Oh,
and hearing
man.
him
Awesome.
do comedy. It was great.
Yeah,
It was fantastic.
for sure.
You always learn something.
And then we move on to the Saints. Will they be in the Superdome? I don't know. It is rumored that currently they're looking to go to Baton Rouge to play at the LSU Tiger Stadium. How do we feel about this, guys?
Money.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you know LSU,
Money.
Baton Rouge, they're going to let people come in, and you know, like Jeff said, it just gets down to a point where they need to start making some money, you know,
The mayor,
and letting people in.
The mayor of New Orleans still has the city on shutdown.
Yeah.
Not even. I mean, I think restaurants and bars are at limited capacity still, and you know, and they want to go somewhere where they can make some money. Everybody else is doing it.
And right now the LSU Tigers are allowing 25% capacity at their home games. So like you said, you can allow fans into the stadium.
How wild
Well,
would
and I think
that be, man, to watch
that
the
would be nice.
Saints in LSU Stadium? I mean, first of all, it's outdoor, right?
Correct, yes.
So just completely awkward for
Yes.
a home game. It
Yeah.
just, I mean, it's, hey, 2020.
And I think they're afraid that not having a crowd is affecting their play.
It might be.
Because that's a big home field advantage
Yep.
they have in the Super Bowl. So I bet that's part of it too. They just want to have some kind of advantage of playing at home.
I'm just guessing in LSU Stadium probably is around 100,000 because all the other big colleges are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 20,000 fans.
Yeah.
They can make some noise.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. And then we are sticking with the NFL, and we go to the New York Jets. Everyone is wondering what is going on with this atrocious team that just cannot win a game. And the latest news with the roster moves. So the Jets have been looking to make some moves on the roster, you know, just to better themselves. And the latest news, running back Le'Veon Bell was released, the highest cap hit of any running back. He had $6 million left on his salary, and looks like the rumors are true, and he is finally released.
Bye. It's like,
You know, it's always, I think we talked about a little bit, be careful what you wish for because you'll get it. He wanted out of Pittsburgh. He wanted to get
Yep.
paid. He got paid. Now he's getting cut.
This
I mean,
is-
that's what happens.
this Jets team, if we talked about this right before we started this show about Jamal Adams, before the season started with this uproar about the Jets, you know, he wanted to get there so bad, you know, and
Yes.
play with Le'Veon. They're like, oh, it's just such a big ordeal. And then he's gone. And then now, you know, Le'Veon did the same thing. And this Jets organization, if I thought that the Houston Texans organization was bad for down, this one may take the cake right now.
I mean, and we're talking about coaches and starting from the office, like
Yeah,
you said, the
that's
front
what I'm saying.
office and down.
God.
We'll get into some coaches that should they be fired? Who's next on the
Yes.
hot seat after
a long
we've
list.
seen? After we've seen from the rest of the NFL. But also the Jets' rumors of Darnold. I know that they're looking to possibly trade him out, but no one will trade the Jets and Sam Darnold for a first-round pick. So. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting talks going on in that organization.
Does Sam Darnold make Sam Darnold look bad, or does the coaching make Sam Darnold look bad?
Exactly.
You know, he might be tradable. He might flourish somewhere else. But the Jets are just the play calling is bad. Just all around, just bad. And now you're going to release Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. Imagine
their game now. If there's I think all this is setting up for what?
Trevor Lawrence.
Done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've obviously given up on the season. I mean, we're 5 weeks into the season and they've given up.
Dude,
like it's over.
Everybody's
They're talking about getting rid of their starting quarterback. They've just released, let him go. Le'Veon Bell, they're starting running back. I use quotes on starting because he hasn't been playing very much. But, yeah, I mean, 5 weeks in, how do you feel as a Jets player, especially if you're a vet? Think my team's just basically giving up.
I feel great as a Jets fan if you're a Jets fan.
Yeah,
because you're going to get a great quarterback after this, and maybe a better coach, because there's a few college coaches, like you said, that we might get into that are going to make the jump to the NFL.
And speaking of college, it's kind of how I feel that University of Houston, how last year this Dana Holgorsen came in and then everybody was redshirted.
Mm-hmm.
De'Aaron King went into the transfer pool, which he rumored didn't, and now he is playing in Florida. And so I feel when you just mentioned about the Jets, it just reminded me of that situation. Like, might as well just go ahead.
Correct.
Go ahead and tank it.
Yeah.
So those are our 2-minute drills, and we got some baseball going on right now. The NLDS and the ALCS, the Rays versus the Astros, and the Braves versus the Dodgers. If you want to get all of the latest updates, check us out on iVox News. We have our daily updates going on, SWBs, sports alerts. We'll give you like I said, the latest news, injuries, you name it. We will be there. And of course, what's going on right now in the NFL? We talked about Dak and his ankle injury, but talk about this game in general, the Giants versus the Cowboys. And we saw Andy Dalton come in, and he got the save. He got the win.
Listen, Andy Dalton is a Texas boy. He played at TCU. This kid is a great quarterback. I mean, in Cincinnati, he never had a good of enough team around him. He got to the playoffs and look, they did a few times and went the second round. Dalton's a great quarterback. As far as viable second-string quarterbacks, he's up there with with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick is a starter right now.
Yeah, he's a starter right now. But,
Correct.
He's a career backup quarterback, right? So, but Andy Dalton, and I feared them with the Cowboys, but there's a reason they picked up Andy Dalton for this exact reason, and there's a reason that Jerry Jones didn't sign that contract he wanted. They offered him one. They knew it was going to be lowballed, so they just franchised him, and, it's my opinion. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Grant being from Dallas, Cowboys fan, I mean, you have a better insight on this, but Dak's future's up in the air.
I'll say that Jerry Jones did sign Browns QB from the practice squad, Garrett Gilbert, just to be safe, but who knows what's going to happen with this solid QB position.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, Jerry Jones actually invested in a good backup quarterback. Normally
it's a brains guy.
Well,
like backup quarterback,
or it's a guy that they draft. Like last year was Rush. I mean, Cooper Rush was, I guess, good in college, but yes, I say Cooper Rush. Other than your Cowboys fan, you have no idea who he is.
Yep.
So they finally invested in a backup quarterback, and it's obviously proved to be valuable because, like you said, I mean, it's not like somebody. I would say at this point, Andy Dalton is probably the best backup quarterback in an organization.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a guy that's thrown in his career over 30,000 yards. He has a career completion percentage of 62%. The guy's played in playoff games. He is a quality backup, and I think he can step in and make a big improvement.
Do you have pulled up what his playoff record is? Because Dax is 1-2, and that's a lot of heat on him.
Correct.
And I think Dalton's 2-2, somewhere in there. But Dax 1-2 in the playoffs, and my opinion, because it was a gruesome injury, not injury prone by any means. He's pretty durable, or has been up to date.
Correct. Yes.
So maybe his ankle will be stronger now, but I think they'll franchise him again next year.
Well, that's what the interesting thing is from a Jerry Jones standpoint. What do you do next year? His salary cap hit would be around $37 million.
Yep.
If they decide to do that. Go ahead.
Which this year, didn't he want 34 or 35?
Well, the biggest thing with the Cowboys and his contract this year was the length of time that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They offered him about in the neighborhood of about 110 million guaranteed. He wanted 5. He wanted 4 years. They wanted 5. So that's what I thought. The first thing, of course, I was hoping that he was okay.
But
and all
then,
that.
yeah, right after that, you're like, oh, contract.
But then I was like, man, I wonder as he's sitting there and he's being carted off and he's emotional and he's really like if that runs through his head, like I had 31 million or 110.
Oh, of course it does.
And I turned down
the
110.
The guaranteed money that he would have had on that contract. I mean, you're set, you're done, you're good. And he even said in interviews prior to off season, I'm betting on myself.
Correct.
And hey, this is what happens when you do that.
And that's the thing about it. Unfortunately, when you run that risk, and that's what it is, it's a risk.
Yep.
You run the risk that.
Not only a little injury like a hamstring.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Snapped his ankle
exactly.
in half.
I mean, oh my gosh, that was just so, like I said, cringing
Yeah.
to watch. Like, just his ankle completely turn around. But
Well, and what I just like the reaction of it. I think that lets you know at least, and I've never, like I've said about Dak, let's forget the stats and the record and all that stuff.
Yep.
He's a great leader, and he's a team player, and everybody reacts to him in a positive way. Everybody came out and was feeling really bad for him. Everybody in NFL. He's a great guy.
And it's just Dak's had a lot of off-field things happen, and
This year's been tough for
in the
him.
news
It's been
for him.
very tough for
So
him.
this was, you could see all that emotion pouring out when he was getting carted off.
absolutely.
I mean, everything was probably going in his head. What happened to his brother, all this media stuff
Yes.
around him. So
Absolutely.
I hope he gets better, man. I hope he comes back. But like future-wise with the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep, we wish you the best of luck, Dak. And like we said, Andy Dalton came out, got that drive down, and got the field goal. 37-34 is what they ended the Giants. Now, a couple more upsets in Week 5 was the Raiders upsetting the defending Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. Holy smokes! Did we call this 40-32? So they were really putting up a fight, the Raiders were. And I was just like so surprised to see this because I mentioned this on one of our daily updates that we do on iVox, is that Derek Carr is 0-6 or was 0-6 prior to this game going into Arrowhead, going up against Patrick Mahomes.
With a crowd, that's the toughest place in the NFL.
And that's what's crazy. They were the first team to stop the Chiefs after having 3rd consecutive straight wins, including last postseason. So I just was not expecting the Raiders to do this. Carr put up 347 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 1 interception. And Casey only scored 8 points in the first two quarters.
City the last few weeks. Now we're on year 3 with Pat Mahomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of tape on him, and of course you're not going to stop him. But if you can figure out how to get 5 or 6 3-and-outs during a game, you can beat the Chiefs. And you're starting to see that. Last week's game, what did they have? 6 points at halftime. There's plenty of film on Pat Mahomes now about force him to the left or force him to the right. He's behind the back passes every time. So, people are starting to figure out how to kind of slow this offense down. You're not going to stop it. But, man, John Gruden, again, makes another signature win for me.
Well, and they come into it. Raiders are a weird team. They start off 2-0, then they lose two in a row. So they come into that game. I mean, they had them at a 10.5-point underdog. As far as
I remember us talking about
correct,
that, and then I took the Raiders.
Yeah, coming into that game, and so it was, you didn't expect to see what you saw, and I mean the Raiders. I think the score actually, I think it wasn't as close as the score said. I mean, like you said, when it came to when you look at the breakdown, Chiefs only scored 8 points in the second half. Like that's crazy. I mean, the Chiefs, they only scored that many, so no points in the third. For them to get outscored the way that they did, but the Raiders do it how you do it. You control the clock.
Control the clock with Josh Jacobs.
Running game, Josh Jacobs.
He's awesome. I love that guy, man.
And they were getting constant pressure on Mahomes. I mean, they played outstanding.
That's who you should have taken with your fantasy. Is Josh Jacobs. You said Derrick Henry, and I'm like,
I wanted Derrick Henry so bad.
But you can't pass up.
He's doing great.
You can't pass up Christian McCaffrey, a number 1 pick.
I just had this gut feeling that he was going. I just had this feeling that he was going to get hurt, and look at him now.
Well,
Okay, so the Raiders have a bye. The Raiders have a bye going in, and then they play the Bucs after that at home. So that'll be good to see them on their home turf in Las Vegas. Now, another upset, which was huge. I thought it was just nuts. The Dolphins upset the 49ers 43-17.
Let's get into this.
And I know Jeff is so fired up because he loves him some Fitz magic.
Oh, man.
Did you see this coming at Levi Stadium?
Yeah, I called that one too. Like, so Fitzpatrick, like we
He's
said.
like, yeah, of course I did.
Well, no, like right before the show, I was telling y'all, like Ryan, the next game he'll throw 4 interceptions. Like, but he's going to have these games where I love him because of how he enjoys the game of football. He's not out there for money. He's not out there for fame. He just
You see him having so much fun.
And he just wants to play football, and I love that, dude. And look, for Tua, who's, obviously the backup and learning, like, good for him winning and showing him how to win and being a good, like, I guarantee you Tua will look down the road and be like, man, I really enjoyed that first year. I learned a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You can't ask for a guy to learn football from better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Just how he goes about the game, like you said, his love for it, how he is. I bet he's everybody makes a big deal because he's a Harvard grad. So, he's a smart and he's a student of the game. I'm sure he teaches them a lot about it. Say what you will about Fitzpatrick, and we can definitely do that at some point.
I said that listen, I was joking when I said he was a Hall of Famer.
No, you weren't. You were serious. You were serious.
You were so serious.
I'm like,
Jeff
look,
loves Fitzpatrick.
Well, because his stats are amazing. Like, they're just funny. And you brought up that he's a career 30%. What QB rating of what?
Well, no, it wasn't that. We were talking about, things he's led the league in during the season.
Yeah,
and he led the league in interceptions in 2011.
Well,
yes,
I mean,
correct.
look, I think Favre's the all-time leader in interceptions. He's in there.
I'm sure he is, yeah.
My point is, like, they should have a category. Greatest backup quarterback. I mean, he's a starter now, but career backup quarterback, like in the history of NFL.
And talking about great quarterbacks, you look to the other side of the ball and you see Jimmy G, and I don't know what is going on with him. It was 7 of 17, 2 interceptions. He got pulled the first half.
Wow.
Beathard had to come out, and Jimmy was benched. I mean, is his time up with the 49ers?
Oh, no.
No, I think they've invested way too much money into him at this point, time and effort. I think what happened is, and I was watching some of the game, and it looked like to me he just didn't feel comfortable out there. And you got to remember, it's a right ankle that he had hurt. As a right-handed quarterback, your plant foot that you're going forward. I like how you're like
me.
Well, because I'm right-handed.
I'm right-handed.
So your plant foot.
I play quarterback.
Yeah.
You play quarterback?
I did in high school.
In what league?
Senior. My senior year, I was a high school quarterback. In what league? Come on.
But okay, so
no, you have your cool things. You played overseas.
I was just trying to throw that out there so Grant would be like, oh, another, just throw it out there, Jeff. Tell us how cool you were.
Yeah.
It's like,
He's like, Fitz magic. No, it's Michael's magic.
Yeah, that's right.
Homecoming,
Jeff Michael,
homecoming king.
Oh, here we go. Okay, let's talk about Jeff for about 5 or 10 minutes.
But I'm talking about, Jimmy G and the 49ers. It's just crazy how much they turn around. Went to the Super Bowl last year, lost the Chiefs, of course, and then they had the best defense in the league, and that's fallen apart. And now you look at Jimmy G and it just seems like what's going on with this league? Like,
this is where coaching comes into play. This is what you pay your head coach
for. So Shanahan is
to,
where you're putting.
Well, he needs to get his team back on track.
Okay,
this is why you pay your head coach so much money. Mm-hmm. All right, they're a good team. We saw that in the first couple of weeks. Like, San Francisco can play some football, and they've had some injuries. Mostert got hurt, most specifically, and then Garoppolo got hurt. The chemistry's not put together yet, but it's early in the football. And they can put together a 5, 6, 7 game run at the end of the season, and they'll go into the playoffs hot. This is where head coaching comes in. Get your players back on track, start playing some better football.
The only problem with that, they play in the NFC West.
Yeah.
And the NFC West is, the top is Seattle right now at 5-0. Like, you have to be really, really competitive. At this point, they would just hope that they get some kind of wild card.
I'm glad you just brought that up. The worst defensive team in the history of the NFL up to date is this year 2020 Seattle.
That's nuts.
Right?
And they're 5-0.
Exactly. That shows you how good Russell Wilson is.
Yes.
The worst defensive team in the history of the NFL.
That's just crazy. That is just crazy. And moving on from that game, the Dolphins will return home for week 6 and then play the New York Jets, who we talked about earlier. Now,
listen, for your daily fantasies, up Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
That's who he wants.
If we're playing the Jets, dude, that's going to be a monster.
You're saying pick up Fitzpatrick. I don't know if Grant wants to pick up Matt Ryan or not.
Yeah.
Because we can get to this for just a quick minute. Pushing his buttons before the show, we really found out how much he thinks Matt Ryan is overrated.
No, I don't. I'm not saying he's. I'm just saying, if he played for any other team other than the Atlanta Falcons, with the way his career's gone, for being a number 3 pick, for being a guy that's been the franchise quarterback for as long as he has, if he played for any other high-profile team, he would not be as highly ranked or thought of as he is currently. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, the Atlanta Falcons mess too, right? Just got
Yes.
rid of Dan Snyder, just got rid of their GM. The owner of the team just came out and said, we don't know what we're doing with Matt Ryan. You know, so they're also, I think it's them and the Jets that are in the running for Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Like they're going to try to tank too,
Right.
and that's why he's like, I don't know what we're doing with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, you said he's 12 years has been in the league, right? He's got, I mean, he had drafted in 08.
That's a point where you say, oh, is it the coaching? Is it Matt Ryan?
Well, I mean,
You
look, they
know.
went to the Super Bowl, and I said this on our other show, which we do 5-minute shows like daily. You guys can pull them up there
Daily
on iVox.
updates. Yeah,
They're awesome. You know, Matt Ryan, like he went to the Super Bowl, and it just sucks. He's going to be known for losing the biggest lead in Super Bowl history. That's what he's known for.
Yes.
It is. It
You
is.
know, and it's just that's terrible for him.
It is. So that was a little recap on week
But you
5.
compared him to Tony Romo, which is pretty interesting. I bet the stats are about the same.
They kind
Sorry.
of they kind of are. He's played in more games. He's played in more games than Tony, but yeah, that's another show.
We'll
for
see how
another
long he
time.
sticks around.
And
Yeah.
so moving on from week 5, we looked at week 6 and some of the matchups that we have here. Some of the fun matchups that we're going to see is Chiefs versus Bills after we saw what just happened
Yep.
to the defending state champs, defending Super Bowl
State?
champs,
State
rather.
champs, there we
Sorry,
go.
getting back to
Hey,
high school.
I went to I went to the state final.
There you
we
go,
go.
of course.
Let's talk about Justin
Magic
more.
Michaels, there we go.
Yeah.
Magic
Yeah.
Michaels. All right.
So the Bills,
I
I was like,
that.
why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Damn.
so the Bills sit at 4-0, and then the Chiefs are 4-1 now. So
Entertaining this game will be.
Yes.
I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to see it. What's the spread on this, real quick?
So you're talking about on the Bills and the Chiefs
Right.
game. Is that right? Bills Chiefs
Yeah,
game
Bills
that's coming
Chiefs.
up. Okay,
Monday
yes,
night, I
correct.
believe. Monday night.
Well, believe it or not, what I'm seeing currently, for whatever reason, I think they're kind of on the fence of it. There is no spread for the game right now. They have a money line for it, but they do not have a spread.
What's the
current
money
spread
line?
for
Plus
it.
140.
So you've got the Buffalo Bills that are the favorites in it, plus 135 for
yeah, I said
Buffalo.
plus 140.
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, the line, if it's plus 140, the line's going to be 2 to 3 points, 3.5,
Correct, yeah.
somewhere in
Yeah.
that realm.
Which is interesting. You got Kansas City Chiefs at a minus 162,
Yeah.
so that would be a pretty interesting.
I would take look. It's
That'd
just,
be pretty interesting.
We
Put
just
some-
talked about this. Like,
Yeah.
what Pat Mahomes are you going to get?
Yeah.
You know, what are they going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't think it's fair to say that because it's not like Lamar
Yeah,
Jackson,
I-
where
I get it.
where it's like back and forth. But anyways, another fun game is going to be the Browns and the Steelers AFC North game. They both won 3, and then the Browns have lost 1. Steelers still have to make up that one game against the Titans. But what are we taking on this?
So you got Steelers at home, Steelers minus 4. So they got Steelers minus
Okay.
4 on.
The only thing this game, excuse me, the only thing this game will be missing is snow because I want to see this game.
Yeah.
These two teams
Yes.
hate each other.
Yeah.
This will be fun to watch.
Yeah, so you got the Browns 4-1 for the first time since 1994 when Belichick was their head coach, believe it or not. I tell you what, Browns run the football, and
They run it well.
run it well. I'm impressed with the Steelers, though.
I am too. I told you from the beginning of
I
the
think the
season. I
Steelers-
said the Steelers are they're watch out because
You've been ready for Ben. I know you have.
yeah, but last year they were. I mean, they had
Yeah.
injuries everywhere, and this
And they've
team
got
was
a
sneaky
receiver.
Good.
They've got a receiver. That Claypool guy, that dude.
Oh
he's
my
a monster.
gosh, I know. He
He's a
went off this
monster.
See,
weekend.
you should have drafted him.
We
in your
went off.
fantasy league.
Okay, all right. Enough hating on my fantasy.
I know. I was
league.
going to say this
Okay,
is
guys.
pick on Lawrence fantasy team.
I know.
segment.
This is what the show is going to be
My
called.
bad.
All right, so next we have the Packers versus the Bucks, and this is so fun because it's 2 older guys in the league, the Rodgers versus Brady. And while the Packs stand 4-0, Bucks are 3-2.
This
What
has
are we
got to
looking
be
at?
Packers minus 5.
No, they've got Packers minus 2.5,
Closer. I had a
Whoa.
feeling it was going to be closer than that.
which is crazy
but
having
I don't
them.
think.
Yeah.
I don't think the talent shows that. It's just the excitement around it.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got Rodgers and Brady, like 2 of the most accomplished quarterbacks in the history of the NFL.
But this is like
Playing against each
This is
other.
like Peyton Manning and
Yeah. I
and
mean,
Brady.
this is one of those games where, it's one of those things where you're fortunate that you watch it because you take for granted that these guys are playing currently in the league and that you get to watch them.
Yeah, for sure. Rodgers looks to be on fire this year. And look, best offensive line in the league. His receivers are unbelievable. He's got the top three wide receiver in the league, and maybe the number one running back in the league.
Yeah.
So his offense looks incredible.
You talking Brady or Rodgers?
No, Rodgers.
Okay.
And
but you say the same thing for Brady though too.
Well, he doesn't have the number one offensive line.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the running back either. But Brady somehow, man, look, he was getting killed last again. He comes out in the second half. He threw 4 touchdown passes. I mean, Tom Brady did Tom Brady things last week.
Yeah.
He can bounce back.
So, and I think that's why the line might be a little closer than it is. I think it should be Packers win by 10, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Can also vary during the week and as we get closer to the games, and we'll keep you updated on that on our daily shows that we do right here on iVox News. And we have a second to squeeze in the NBA, if I can speak. The bubble you mentioned, it's LeBron's 4th title to win. But does this season, does this bubble, does this MLB playoffs and the championship, all of this, is there an asterisk by this NBA season?
100%.
By this championship
What
title?
Makes you say that?
Because of the way it was played, spending 100. Again, I'll say it on our other stuff on iVoxNews.com. Listen. Unbelievable feat by the NBA, 100+ days in a bubble with zero positive tests.
That was amazing.
Just an unbelievable feat of that.
Yes.
But can you imagine being trapped you live in a hotel room for 100+ days, these teams. Yeah. It must have, your mentality is not there, right? Some of these teams probably just gave up. They're just like, man,
guys,
I'm ready to go home.
Right.
I'm not playing. so no fans is it.
Obviously, I was going to say, obviously in society in general, everyone was pretty much locked up in their houses and until maybe a month ago or so. And people can relate to that, going crazy, working from home, not being able to get out.
Yeah.
Imagine being an NBA player in a bubble where you can't leave those walls.
Just unreal. I just think there is an asterisk
They got
by
it
it.
done.
And everybody knew once the Lakers got on their roll that they were going to win. And look, LeBron, man, he keeps making comments that are just, he's forcing people to hate him. It's like, I love off field, it's unbelievable, or off court, it's unbelievable. Man, he's like, I forgot what he yelled, something like, give me my credit or my.
Oh, he said, give me my damn respect.
Yeah.
He wants respect.
Dude, you didn't have to say that.
You're respected.
Yeah, you're
respected.
You're compared to Michael Jordan.
Correct.
So how much more respect do you need, bro?
And
Yes.
Kobe.
Yes. Well, and this was all, like I said, whenever this NBA thing started, this was all created so this could happen. So he could win an NBA
his platform.
title.
His show.
We were going to do this come hell or high water because this guy knew he had his best opportunity to make this happen. He had probably you got him and then another top 5 player in the NBA playing on the same team.
Reverse it. Remember, right whenever they were deciding if they were going to do a bubble concept, he said, "No, I'm not going to play."
Yeah, his first couple weeks, and then Adam Silver. Well, Adam Silver probably called him and said, "Hey, we'll just make this all about you."
Correct.
Well,
yes.
what we didn't know though,
We'll let you do whatever the hell you want to do.
When no one saw
He probably
the
left
heat,
the bubble.
Yeah.
No one really saw the Heat being in that final series.
Good for the Heat. That's
good for Miami.
As far as the positive coming out. It's
Yeah.
like with the Heat, Eric Spoelstra, that team coming out, Jimmy Butler. Do you want to talk about gaining respect? Finally, Jimmy Butler gets some respect in the NBA, and I'm proud of him for doing that.
Well, every team he's been on recently, I think it was like over the last 5 years, Minnesota, Philadelphia, now Miami, they just go to the playoffs. He just takes teams to the playoffs. That's what he does.
Quietly. Nobody ever gives him his dues, Them pulling out the Game 2 win in Game 4 was pretty, I'm glad they did that. I didn't want a 4-1 win, whatever, but he left his heart out there in that game. You could see that the Game 6, none of the Heat players had it in them. They were just kind of roasted at that point.
Yeah, no, that was
so.
Yeah, Jimmy was used up after Game 5. Jimmy, you could tell he was just out. But I've said it before. Eric Spoelstra, that dude's underrated as a coach, man.
Good for him.
Right. Well, that'll almost do it for the NBA. We don't know when it will be back. We know it will be after Christmas Day, as Adam Silver said, so sometime in the beginning of 2021, and that'll do it for on our first iVox show.
And that was
I just got warmed up.
I know, right? We're just now getting going. This is so much
Man.
fun. Well, hey guys, make sure that you tune in daily as we're Sports with Balls. We will give you the latest updates on anything you want to know, sports related, MLB, NFL, NCAA. We're there for you. We will bring you that sports to you daily. And of course, our weekly shows right here, Sports with Balls on iVoxNews.com. So check out. For Jeff Michael, Grant Miles, I'm Lauren Leal, and we'll see you next time.
Later. Peace.